Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
The Super Bowl finally in Las Vegas, and Raider fans, they don't like any team involved. Do you pick scheme or do you pick a quarterback? Most teams must choose one or the other, and the 49ers will hoist the Lombardi this Sunday. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
The Locked On Podcast Network takes Las Vegas here for the Super Bowl. It's Chiefs and 49ers. And you know I had to get my guy and your guy, your boy Q, Locked On Raiders host. Vegas is always a party.
Yes.
Super Bowl is always a party. You put these two things together. And I don't know, Monday might be a hangover, but during the week, it seems like we're going to have a lot of fun.
It might be a hangover every single day. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of fun to be had. Man, Vegas is excited about this opportunity, something we had never thought was going to happen. And look, I've only been here a handful of years, but still, it's like the Super Bowl in Vegas. Come on now. But yeah, this is a lot of fun, man. It's been a lot of people ramping up, getting excited about it for a while now.
The relationship with the NFL and gambling, it's changed so much. Like to your point about we never thought it would be here because we never thought the NFL would acknowledge that gambling is a thing. But now you look around, you've got FanDuel, got their big stage.
Right.
This is a different kind of vibe here.
Yeah.
And so what do you think Vegas brings to Super Bowl week that, LA, Miami, that they don't?
Well, I just think it's more juice. Because everyone comes here for
is that juice a hurricane?
Anyway. No, that would be New Orleans. Right. But it's just, I
saw the frozen hurricane maker and I thought, I gotta stop.
That's a possibility. But look, like there's always people here for Super Bowl, right? Whenever the game's not here, they come here because it's a great place to be. There's great sports books to watch the game, bars, everything, the strip, the parties there. So then you combine it with the actual game, and you have a brand new stadium. I mean, it's you really can't go wrong. And everyone wants to be in Vegas. So Radio Row Monday normally is super slow. Tuesday, you start to get. It's been busy already for 2 days, just because it's like, oh, we're gonna get to Vegas. Oh, by the way, I gotta get there Sunday. You know what I mean? We gotta get set up ahead of time.
I had friends that came Saturday.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And like the airport, the private jets are already like packing out the airport. It's nuts, man. It's exciting.
All right, I know it's early.
Yep.
But like, I know you guys are talking to everybody over here.
Yeah.
What is the general tone on how we think the game is going to go? Are there a lot of people saying one side or another?
Yeah, right now a lot of people believe the experience of the Chiefs are going to prevail.
49ers are the favorites.
I know, but a lot of people here think that the experience of the Chiefs, and look what they've done all year, right? They've led by their defense. Yeah. And then all of a sudden their offense starts coming together. And then I don't know what Baltimore did last 2 weeks ago. Yeah. I don't know what they were doing. They decided, hey, you know what? We're going to beat Patrick Mahomes by being Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Why? Let's not run the ball at all.
Right. Why would you do that? So I think that the way that it's trending and the way people are talking to us, they feel like the Chiefs are going to get it done. And now they're about to be, if they're not already, the villains of the league. Kind of like New England was when they started going on their run.
So, like, how much do you think Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift plays into the villain part of this? Like people are going to
be a lot of it. It's got to be a lot of it. People are tired of hearing Taylor Swift this or seeing her on the screen. Like I say, I live in a Swift-free zone, so I don't even pay her attention. And it's so funny. They'll flash to her in the box, and it's almost like she's like, "Go away, leave me alone." Right? It's like almost.
I think she'd rather not be on the screen sometimes.
Right. But they know what they're doing. They're playing up to the role, and we're gonna get somebody just run into our picture, but it's cool because why not? It's Radio Row. So yeah, I mean, it's. I think that she knows what's going on. The league knows what they're doing. They're trying to get as many hits on her as possible because they're trying to bring in another audience. There's a reason why they know what they're doing, right? They know what they're doing. They're printing money all the time, and that person had terrible smelling cologne and perfume on. That was the worst.
That was not great. Not great.
At all. I think it got in my esophagus. So, but yeah, I mean, they know what they're doing. So I think that Kelce and Taylor Swift have a lot to do with the villain role that they're playing, for sure.
Well, we're gonna start to talk about the D word if the Chiefs win.
Yo, yeah, for sure. Dynasty. Absolutely. There's no doubt. You win 3, you're a dynasty, and you got that guy in Patrick Mahomes that is talking about playing another 15 years trying to catch Tom Brady. And look, Andy Reid's not going to coach 15 more years.
No.
We know that. Who knows when he's going to decide to hang it up, but you know how good he is. And so as long as you got Mahomes out there and you have a team around him, and I'm assuming that they're going to continue to put a team around him, they're going to be villains for a while, man. And so, I'm here, and of course, the Locked On Raiders podcast, it's like, you got to deal with the AFC West, right? What a monster that is. So
now Jim Harbaugh is in the division.
Right, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh,
can't catch
Andy
a break.
Reid, and Antonio Pierce. So, it's fun, it's exciting, but man, it looks like you said, it can't catch a break.
The CBS sports director joke, double overtime. They got the script from the NFL. So first game in Vegas, double overtime, first time it ever happened in the Super Bowl. Like, let's do it.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I want the game to be over. I want to be able to talk about it, wrap it up, and then get into the offseason. Like I tell all Raider fans, root for Monday. You can't root for the Chiefs. You can't root for the Niners. Root for Monday.
Stay up to date all year on the Las Vegas Raiders by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Raiders on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Thanks for making Locked On Sports Today your first listen. Coming up, do you pick a scheme or do you pick a quarterback? Before we get to that, Andy Reid has an answer for those wondering if he's ready to hang up the headset anytime soon. Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some Super Bowl bets. FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a dub, or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets for which player will score a touchdown, which player will score the first touchdown, the last touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, what are you waiting for? New customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more bets wins. If you want to look deep into the prop bets for the big game, you can wager on over, under, total punts. FanDuel has it set at 7.5 with the odds on the over set at plus 112. If you like the under in this game, bet the punts over. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to join in on the Super Bowl fun. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Kansas City Chiefs coach Andy Reid has enjoyed a successful coaching career. Naturally, questions at the Super Bowl are centered around his possible future. When Reid was asked about possibly retiring, he had this to say.
Yeah, so I think the best answer I can give you is when you're in the mix of things like we are, you don't really look at that.
The surprising Magic took on the disappointing Heat in the battle for the Florida professional hardcourt.
Where the Heat just beat the Magic in a big game for the standings and an even bigger game for the vibes. David, a blowout 121-95 win, a new starting lineup, a new rotation, Jimmy Butler with 23, 8, and 8. Where do you want to begin with this one?
I don't know, because I think the rotation is probably the most important thing. The change to the starting lineup, we should mention Haywood Highsmith, who had started the last handful of games, out of the lineup tonight, barely played at all. Caleb Martin getting the nod in his place. And I wasn't sure exactly what the rationale might be for that, because Orlando, a bigger team, Caleb not significantly bigger than Haywood Highsmith as far as their height is concerned, a little bit, less stout, I would say.
Yeah.
But he did provide a spark early on and then later in the game as well. And I thought he did a pretty good job when it came to Miami's switch-heavy defense. Also in the zone, he uses quickness very effectively. I thought he played a really good game. And then just the rotation, the changes all throughout. I don't know. I'm having a hard time, and maybe you can help me out with this, because the rotation seems to have provided a spark. But at the same time, what I saw a lot of was Miami playing with more intent, more purpose. And I know that Eric Spoelstra acknowledged that, and he was asked a lot of questions about rotation because it's the new thing, right? But at the same time, I think that Miami just played very effectively today. And I'm not sure how much of the percentage of tonight's success was based on the rotation change versus the fact that they just played much better than they had.
And the Houston Astros are recognizing their team leader by giving Jose Altuve a big payday.
5 years, $125 million. He should be a lifetime Houston Astro player. And I know you might have the breakdown, but It's definitely going to be $30 million for at least the next 3 seasons, right?
Yeah, so what it is with the new contract extension, this is posted by Chandler Rome, and I believe Chandler Rome was the first to break this news. I didn't see anybody else break it before him, and I may be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure Chandler got it. So a new contract extension has a $15 million signing bonus. It will pay him $30 million from 2025 to 2027. So for those 3 seasons, $10 million in 2028 and 2029. So that means that he will be with the Houston Astros until he is 38 going into his 39th year, because right now he's 33 going into his 34th year. He turns 34 in May of this year. So, look, I think it's safe to say that Jose Altuve is going to be a Houston Astro for his entire career.
We are live, Super Bowl Radio Row, Las Vegas. Eric Eager, formerly of Pro Football Focus, now Summer Sports. You have your hands in a lot of things in the sports analytics world. When you look at this matchup in particular, what kind of lessons are you taking away in terms of trying to find some trends here moving forward?
Yeah, to me, it's how to maturate your roster building strategy, right? The Kansas City Chiefs 4 years ago in this game were a team with a quarterback on a rookie deal, much like the 49ers. Of course, Patrick Mahomes, I think, a little bit more talented than Purdy at the time. But you had Tyreek Hill, best in the business, Travis Kelce, best in the business. You had Chris Jones, Frank Clark, all those guys, on big deals.
Yeah.
Over the course of the next few years, Brett Veach has kind of hollowed out the roster a little bit of premium position players making a ton of money. 8 draft picks of the last 3 years start for this defense. 6 in 2022, the year they traded Tyreek Hill for all those picks. Now they're second in the NFL in scoring. Patrick Mahomes not playing complimentary football with them so much, but he is in a supporting role for that defense. And they're winning that way as the villain there. Whereas in San Francisco is very much where Kansas City was all those years back. They have 5 players next year who have cap hits over $20 million that are not quarterbacks. There's a ton of pressure on them because they've kind of optimized for this year, whereas Kansas City is sort of in this really cool realm where, unlike a lot of teams with superstar quarterbacks, they're able to win with the guy making a ton of money because they've been able to hit on so many weak link players. It's an incredible lesson in roster building at different sort of places in the life cycle.
And it's interesting, too, and you're kind of the perfect person for this question because you have been on this, Mahomes is underrated island, which I love. The 49ers have probably the best scheme in the league, but they also have the Avengers in terms of their offensive skill talent. And they have this quarterback who does just enough, right? And then you have Patrick Mahomes. There's no skill talent to speak of other than Travis Kelce. Andy Reid, a very good offensive coach, to be sure, future Hall of Famer. But it's just Patrick Mahomes just being incredible. And so, if you were going to say, I would rather have the unstoppable scheme or the unstoppable quarterback, where do you come down on that line?
It's unstoppable quarterback. Now, Shanahan has been an outlier in the sense of almost every one of these schemes at some point in time has been figured out. Sean McVay early on, it was the 11 personnel, and you looked at the first part of the season, second part of the season splits, and they weren't all that great. He eventually emerged past that, but still, it's not unbeatable. Shanahan, year after year after year, has done this to the point where it's crazy, but Brock Purdy averages, during the regular season this year, 3 more yards per pass attempt to Patrick Mahomes. Every time he throws the ball, he averages 3 more yards than the best quarterback in football. But to your point, Rashee Rice actually has the most receiving yards of any rookie wide receiver in the Andy Reid era, Chiefs or Eagles. And Travis Kelce, after that, no other wide receiver or tight end for the Chiefs has more than 460 yards in the regular season. And yet they're here, right? And I think that shows the resilience of quarterback play. It takes one guy to improve. Patrick Mahomes, career high 14 interceptions. In the playoffs this year, no turnover-worthy plays. He's just formed it. Whereas scheme requires everybody to kind of get on the same page, everybody to be better. And that's just a lot of degrees of freedom to have to match together. So I'm always going to prefer the better quarterback to the better scheme because there's just so many fewer buttons to have to push. That being said, Kyle Shanahan is an outlier in terms of how stable scheme is year to year, game to game, season to season.
All right. This week, 49ers -2. And this is kind of moved around. It opened a little bit higher. It's jumped all around. Where do you think this line ultimately lands? And do you have a side on it?
I think it closes 2.5. I mean, sharp bettors don't like to move the number too much. You think about Christmas Day, the Niners were 6.5 point favorites against the Ravens.
Yeah.
The Ravens closed last week 5-point favorites against Kansas City. So you wonder 6 weeks ago, where would this game been? Would the Chiefs have been 6.5 point dogs in this game?
If it weren't the Super Bowl.
If it weren't the Super Bowl and had the Chiefs not had shown some progress here. And I think sharp bettors are going to look at that and they're going to trust their numbers and continue to kind of lay it. I don't think you see 3, but I do think you see it closer to 3 than closer to pick them at kick. I like under in this game. I think there's so many things that the Chiefs do that control the game from a pace standpoint. And I think if I had to, it's really hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes.
Stay up to date all year on the NFL by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On NFL on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, the 49ers will beat the Chiefs this Sunday. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. GameTime has plenty of last-minute tickets to your favorite team. They also have flash deals and zone deals to make it easy to get in the gate. GameTime makes it easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. They've got views from all their seats in the venue. GameTime has the lowest price guarantee. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Right now, all GameTime users get $100 off a big game ticket with code VEGAS100. Terms apply. Just download the GameTime app and use code VEGAS100 for $100 off a big game ticket. Or, not going to the game, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. Chiefs or Niners? James Rapine tells Chris Carter why the Niners will be the winner this Sunday on a recent Locked On NFL.
Don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. Well, you're darn right I'm betting against Patrick Mahomes. I think the 49ers are better. I do. And I probably tipped my hand a little bit earlier in the podcast. That's fine. I'm picking the 49ers to win this game. And I look at this roster. I look at the coaching staff. I think they're prepared to beat this Chiefs team. It'll be close, but there's a reason Brady went down in some Super Bowls. It's hard to win this game. I think the 49ers are better. It's going to go down to the wire. Give me the 49ers by a field goal. I would say 26-23, but I think it'll be a little lower scoring than that. 23-20, the 49ers get it done and get revenge. This suddenly becomes a rivalry now with both teams winning in Super Bowls against each other.
Do you remember how the Niners lost that first Super Bowl to the Chiefs?
Jimmy Garoppolo
missing the wide open.
Emmanuel Sanders wide open.
Just
Brock Purdy
walking down the field.
Brock Purdy makes that.
Brock Purdy makes that throw. I agree, but this Chiefs defense ain't that Chiefs defense. They ain't gonna let Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk run.
I'm gonna
down
shake that off.
Yeah. God dang it! Stop it!
Why'd you do that? Why'd you do it to me, man?
I hate you.
Emmanuel Sanders had a bunch of blank space in front of him, you know?
The 49ers are favored for a reason. They've been the best team all year. They had a blip of games early in the year where they didn't look their best. No Deebo Samuel, no Trent Williams affected those games. They haven't looked great in the playoffs. They haven't just rolled through the playoffs. And it's really, really, really hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. So I'm just not gonna pick against Patrick Mahomes. I'm gonna take the points. I'm gonna pick the Chiefs. I might bet on the Chiefs money line. I just don't see how, if Patrick Mahomes is as great as we think he is, and I think he's got a chance to go down as the greatest to ever play, they're good enough to win. This defense is good enough to win, and all he has to do is make a couple plays. They're not going to fall apart in the second half the way the Lions did, the way the Packers did. This is Patrick Mahomes. He's going to seal the deal. I reserve the right to change my mind, by the way. There's a lot of time between now and Sunday. And finally, the way we watch sports has been undergoing changes the last few years. Now it may evolve entirely. ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery announced plans on Tuesday to launch a sports streaming platform in the fall that will include offerings from at least 15 networks in all 4 major professional sports leagues. The launch of this new streaming sports service is a significant moment for Disney and ESPN, a major step for sports fans, and an important step forward for the media business. That is Walt Disney CEO Bob Iger. One of the biggest problems with cutting the cord over the years has been live sports. If they found a way to fix that, this may be the end of cable as we know it. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today, here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Coming up on the next Locked On Sports Today, will Brock Purdy silence the doubters if he wins this Sunday? So at least until tomorrow, stay Locked On Sports Today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on Sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.